Hello and welcome to a new vlog and video of the cruise vibes, and today we're gonna take a look at the last 2 days on board of the Princess of SE Tours, and also this video has been done in cooperation with SE Tours. We're starting early in the morning in Eberswalde and we're sailing towards Oranienburg. From there we're taking the bike to Berlin. I woke up quite early in the morning and we were still sailing on the canal on our way to our docking location close to Oranienburg and close to a memorial place of a concentration camp. But until there we had still a few hours of sailing. So once again it was a relaxed morning. After breakfast there was still some time to sit on the sun deck. But there were some very low bridges on our way, especially shortly before our docking location we have a former railway bridge which is extremely low. As you can see here, sitting down it was still safe to remain on the sun deck. The crew was taking care that everybody was seated, and straight after this bridge we were approaching the small port, which was at a former clinker factory, which was an outpost of the concentration camp Sachsenhausen, and that's why there is the memorial. Here you can see the memorial and the princess docked right next to it. So we're starting the day with the dark part of the German history. There are a lot of memorials here around this area because we are close to the concentration camp Sachsenhausen. We're firstly heading towards the next street, then we are following the street and there's another memorial, then we are cycling past the Lok Lenitz. We're crossing the Lenitz bridge, and after that the scenery is getting much nicer. We have a very interesting route today. Here you had to make a decision if you want to go to the castle of Oranienburg. I decided to not go there because I've already seen the castle, and so I was cycling next to the Lenitz lake. Very beautiful cycle path. Later on I had to cycle a bit through the city of Oranienburg, but just for a couple of kilometers. Then we're going through Lenitz and following a main street through a forest until we reached the city of Borgsdorf. Here I had to wait for a couple of minutes at a railway crossing as there were coming trains from all directions. Freight train, regional train and the S-Bahn, so that was quite a long wait there. From there we're heading into the next forest. Cycling now to a very small place called Brise, and there we have the most difficult part today. It's a gravel path and it's for a very short moment quite steep with sharp corners. Here you can see it, so actually you would need to be fast here to go up that hill, but there's no space to be fast. But it's the most difficult part of the day, so once again a rather easy route today. Here in Brise there's a beer garden where you could take your first break if you want, and after that we're crossing the Autobahn A10 and then we are reaching Birkenwerder. We now have to go all the way through the city of Birkenwerder, and Birkenwerder comes with some pretty rough cobblestones. The camera is evening it out because it has a good image stabilization, but you can always how the back on the handlebar is jumping, and that's how it actually felt on the bike. But it's always just a few hundred meters, so it's not that bad. But this was not my favorite part of the tour today, to go through Birkenwerder, but after a couple of minutes it was done and we were back in the nature, heading back to the water. Then we were reaching the restaurant Bella Vista, where I planned to take my lunch break, but actually when I arrived there it was still closed because it was too early, and so I had to go on. Here we are cycling under the Autobahn A111, which is the Autobahn that is leading into the city center of Berlin. And then we are cycling again through a very beautiful forest on the railway line, heading always towards Berlin, which is our destination today. But the next city that we are reaching is Hennigsdorf. Once we are approaching Hennigsdorf, we have to cross the river again, and right behind it we are turning to the left, and then we are approaching the Stehcafé da Salvatore, a nice restaurant right next to the water where you can get a very nice pizza. And this is my recommendation. If you want to take a break, this is the ideal location. The pizza was also very good. Unfortunately, there was a disturbing scene with a fellow traveler who was trying to eat his lunchbox in the restaurant and was treating the restaurant owner, who obviously told him that it's not possible to bring your own food into a restaurant, and he treated him pretty badly and was very rude. That was quite sad to see that such an old guy still has no manners at all. That was a bit disappointing, so I think this should be clear for everybody, but you cannot take a lunchbox into a restaurant. So if you decide to take the lunchbox, you need to eat it on a bench or somewhere on the way, but not in a restaurant, obviously. Even though if you purchase a drink, of course, you still cannot bring your own food into a restaurant. That should be very obvious, but apparently it isn't. So that's why I would just recommend to not take a lunchbox at all, or just take it for a short break in between, but take your regular break in a restaurant and just order your food there. That's at least what I did. It's the most relaxed and nice way, and I also saw a lot of other passengers doing so. And then I continued on. I'm cycling past the Jagdhaus Spandau, which is the next possibility to take a break. And then I'm approaching another interesting part of the journey, which is a ferry. Close to the end of the tour, we have to take a ferry to get across the Havel River, and right before the ferry, right in front of the ferry, is the restaurant Himmel and Havel. And this is my recommendation to take another break, because this is one of the most beautiful terraces I've ever seen in a restaurant. It's like in a theater, you have different levels, and from all levels you're directly watching the river. You can watch the ships sailing past, and they have some very nice drinks. And I could even watch the princess sailing past. Of course, I was waiting for her to sail past, because from now on it's just a couple of kilometers, will not take quite long. So there would be no point in leaving the restaurant before she was sailing past it, because then I would be arriving before her at the final docking location, meaning that I would have to wait there. So I would rather recommend waiting here in this very nice restaurant, enjoy a few drinks, a very nice view. And then I took the ferry to the other side. Of course, you need to pay the ferry, just a couple of euros, not expensive. This is a very nice ending of the trip, because actually I will not be sailing with the princess anymore, because she is now sailing to Tegel, which is also the end point of the cruise, and I'm cycling there. So actually where I am arriving with the bike now is also the place where the disembarkation takes place tomorrow. So the ferry was the last time sailing with a ship or a boat on this cruise, and then it's just a couple of kilometers through a forest, and then luckily we don't have to go into the city center of Berlin, because we are, as I said, docked in Tegel. Here you have to go across this bridge, and then we are at the promenade of Tegel, already very close to the river cruise terminal. Yes, this is the actual name of this pier. As you can see, the princess was already here, and for the last time parked my bicycle and went on board. We're staying here overnight, and tomorrow disembarkation will take place from here. So we're now slowly approaching the end of this wonderful cruise, and that means that it is time for the farewell cocktail. Again, with 3 canapes and a glass of sparkling wine, and then there was an amazing gala dinner with such a great quality. I was very impressed by the food overall on board, but the gala dinner was even a bit better than the rest. They even still had a sorbet, which is cancelled out to save a bit of money with many other companies, but here you even got the sorbet. You can see how lovely the main course was prepared, and the dessert was the typical baked Alaska. Then I just shortly stepped out to take another picture of the beautiful princess, and then it was time for a nice last evening in the bar, and then it was time to sleep. And on the next morning I woke up, and after yet another very nice breakfast, it was time to say goodbye to this wonderful ship and it's time to conclude. For me it was the first ship and bike cruise, and I can tell you I love the concept. It's so much fun because it combines the advantages of doing a cruise with being active, doing some sports. It's a perfect combination. I can highly recommend it. You can check out the website of SE Tours. They have a lot of these cruises. Of course, you can do the same cruise that I did, also in the opposite direction. It's a very nice tour and in my opinion also a very good tour to start doing ship and bike cruises. But they also have a huge amount of other cruises in almost all areas of Europe, so make sure to check them out. And here you can see my way to the station of Tegel. You don't need to order a taxi if you're doing a ship and bike tour. I assume that you're able to walk for about 20 minutes, so there's no need to order a taxi. You can save the money. It's just a quite easy walk to the station of Tegel, and from there you can take the U-Bahn, the subway of Berlin, and from there you can get easily to the stations in the city center and to the airport. So you can save the money on ordering a taxi, especially taking a taxi from there to the airport would be extremely expensive. So I would recommend taking the public transport. So what do you need to know about a ship and bike cruise? There's not much you need to know. Just bring a bit of comfortable clothing for the bike tours, also for all kinds of weather. Of course, you can find a full list of things to bring on the website of SE Tours. And that's it for this series. Once again, thank you so much to SE Tours for inviting me to join this cruise. I hope you enjoyed those videos. Here you can see when my next video will be uploaded and the name of the song. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and the whole series. And if you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.